another guy that's falling that I think legitimately should be is James Conner, a veteran guy. Going 90th overall as at the cusp of the RB 2-3 area. He's going as the 24th running back off the board. They bring in Trey Benson in the second round to provide some spark to this emerging young offense. We've got Kyler Murray, of course. They bring in Trey Benson, and obviously they add Marvin Harrison with the 4th overall pick. So, and Trey McBride's already there as well as some other secondary receivers. So this is an offense I'm excited to be investing in for the future, including in 2024. I think they're going to be really young and exciting for the years to come, and I think Trey Benson is going to play a role. So just to talk about what role he might play in 2024, James Conner hasn't played a full season basically his entire career. He's missed at least 4 games, 4 or more games in 6 of the 7 games of his career, and he's set to be a free agent next year. So we're kind of seeing the changing of the guard in Arizona, and that could either happen later down the stretch when they know that Trey Benson's going to be their guy in the future, and they want to get him some touches with later in the season with Conner leaving as a free agent, or it could happen, like I mentioned, when James Conner gets injured. And if Trey Benson comes in and plays well, you can't really project an injury, but with a guy who's missed so many games or a handful of games just about every single season of his career, you kind of expect one to come. So if and when that happens and Trey Benson comes in and is a quality running back, I mean, it's not an unrealistic situation where they go to Trey Benson and never turn back from him. James Conner is 29 years old. He's about to hit that age 30 threshold that we always hate to see in running backs. So it's pretty clear that Benson is the running back of the future. And I wouldn't really be shocked if he gets mixed in here early on. I mean, I expect Conner to be the 1A in the backfield early on in the season. And I expect him to be the 1A in the backfield early on in the season, and Benson get mixed in later in the year or because of an injury. But I think it's justified that James Conner is slipping down draft boards, and I'm waiting to see how far this slip is. There's some guys that are going right behind him that I think could easily pass him up. Those guys are Jonathan Brooks, Jalen Warren, and Zach Moss, all going a handful, 10 or so picks behind James Conner, and I think he could slip behind all those guys. So I'm really waiting to see this slip. I still want to get some James Conner because he has been productive. He's been better than the RB 24 in just about every single season of his career other than his rookie year. So he's been outperforming his current price, but obviously the situation is different. But I'm waiting to see where this slip finally ends. Are you kind of in the same boat there?
Yeah, I actually, in fact, have seen him falling below all those 3 running backs named Brooks, Warren, Moss, in pretty much every draft I have done. And when he falls enough, when I've seen Conner get into those 100 or later picks, I have been scooping him up. The guy is just an absolute animal, and I totally agree Benson's going to be a threat. But I also see this, and we have some connections that have kind of told us that when they drafted Trey Benson, immediately James Conner got the call, like, this is your guy to take under your wing and show him how to work like a professional. And there's nobody like James Conner in terms of work ethic, in terms of grinding it out. One of the toughest just human beings in the world, but just truly as professional and workmanlike as they come when it comes to hitting the weights, when it comes to doing things right. So I love this for Trey Benson long-term, especially too. I know this isn't a dynasty show we're talking right now, but I think he's going to be learning from one of the best. I do think Conner is going to be that featured guy to start the year, to kind of show him the ropes, to teach him how things are done. But like you mentioned, again, 4 games missed in 6 of 7 seasons, that door will open. And Trey Benson, he's in the kind of Jonathan Taylor, Breece Hall tier of 220 pounds and sub 440. There's very few monsters that can actually do that. And sure, he's got some vision concerns, but the guy can receive. He has the 3-down skill set. He has to get refined a little bit, but he is in the perfect spot to get refined so that when that door opens, I think Benson could go absolutely bananas. I think Conner is still solid enough in that 100 or so range where he's falling to now that I'm absolutely going to take him, an absolute goal line monster. Each and every year, like you mentioned, top 24 running back, more often than not these last few years in Arizona, a top 8 running back in fantasy points per game. So I still am fine with getting Conner at his price, but I agree with you that if and when Benson gets the chance to show what he can do, I think he's going to light the world on fire, and it might be bad news for Conner in that sense. But I could also see these guys just coexisting. And like you see those backfields where Conner goes and scores a touchdown, boom, he's pumped. Benson comes in, rips like a 50-yard touchdown. They're hugging, they're loving it. Like you could totally see a situation like that too. So I'm not overreacting too much to Conner, similar to Kyren Williams and similar to most of these losers on the list. I'm not going overly bored with it. What is up, you fantasy wolf? Thanks so much for tuning in. If you haven't already, share your thoughts in the comments, check out some more videos, and join the newest Wolfpack by subscribing below.